Exactly does Donald Trump's best case scenario look like on the 2024 Electoral College map? Now, we are almost certainly headed for another extremely close race come November 5th. As we currently speak, Harris holds a 2-point lead nationally, that is, per Real Clear polling, and that falls into a gray area regarding an Electoral College victory. According to Nate Silver, with a national popular vote lead of D+1 to D+2, Harris would probably have about a 20% chance of winning the Electoral College, and that increases to approximately 50% with a margin of D+2 to D+3. Now, turning our attention back to the map, we will examine Trump's most favorable hypothetical outcome. And since my channel is entirely nonpartisan, I will also be doing a best case scenario for Kamala Harris in the coming days as well. So make sure to subscribe below to catch that and the other videos that I will be uploading every single day before Election Day. Alrighty, now in a best case scenario for Trump, he should win each of the following states by more than 10 percentage points, and therefore they will be placed in the safe column. Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Utah, and Alaska. North and South Dakota, Nebraska's statewide contest and the 1st and 3rd districts, Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, and South Carolina. Finally, we have Kentucky, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, and Maine's 2nd congressional districts. Now, all of these states and districts combine for 149 electoral votes. That's more than half of the necessary total of 270 that is required to become president of the United States. Trump carried each of these states by at least 8 percentage points back in 2020, and in a best-case scenario, we can certainly assume that they will all shift by at least 2 points to the right, and therefore that he would win each of these states by double digits this time around. On the other side, there will still be solid blue states for Kamala Harris as well. The following states voted for Joe Biden by more than 15 points in 2020, and even on a very good night for Trump, they should again vote Democrat by at least 10 points. They are Washington, California, and Hawaii. And then all the way up in the Northeast, we have New York, Maine's 1st district, Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Maryland. Now, even if the national environment shifts dramatically in favor of Trump over the next 6 weeks or so, there's still no realistic scenario in which any of these states dip into likely territory. That's not the case, though, in the following likely blue states, which were all solid for Biden in 2020, but could, again, under the right circumstances, dip into the single digits here in 2024. These include Oregon, Colorado, Illinois, Delaware, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Harris should again win these states by comfortable margins, but they may become a little more interesting than expected on a great night for Trump. On that note, as for the likely Trump states now, the former president should win these states by around 7 to 10 points come election night in his best case scenario. The Lone Star State, Texas, with its 40 electoral votes, and Florida with its 30 electoral votes. These are the 2nd and 3rd largest states in the nation, and they would normally be considered lean for Trump as they both backed him by less than 6 points in 2020. Yet here in 2024, the Real Clear polling average shows Trump leading by more than 7 points in Texas. That is based on the last 3 polls, and by exactly 6% in Florida based on 5 polls. Now, both of these states are likely to trend to the right this cycle, even in a neutral 50-50 environment, as Republicans have made significant gains among Hispanic voters in South Texas, down here in the Rio Grande Valley, and in South Florida, here in the Miami-Dade metropolitan area over the last few cycles. As such, neither state is even on the current target board for the Harris campaign. Next, we have our lean states, where either candidate would be expected to win by margins of around 3 to 7 percentage points in this scenario. For Kamala Harris, the only 2 states that I would feel comfortable placing in this category are New Mexico with its 5 electoral votes and then up in Maine as well, where the statewide vote has consistently gone blue in every election dating back to 1988. That is tied for the second longest streak in the nation. Now, Maine voted for Joe Biden by 9 points in 2020, and both polls released here this cycle have Harris leading by at least that much. It's a similar story over in New Mexico. It voted for Joe Biden by 11 points in 2020, and the two polls surveyed this cycle have Harris leading by exactly 10 points. Now, notably, both Maine and New Mexico rank among the most rural states in the nation. In fact, they are two of the three least urbanized states that Biden won in 2020. While New Mexico also ranks second lowest among Biden 2020 states in the share of residents with a college degree. And those are both factors that do suggest it could start to trend more Republican as the urban-rural divide and educational polarization intensify in future cycles. Not to mention, New Mexico has the highest share of Hispanic voters in the entire country, and Republicans have made consistent gains among that racial demographic in recent cycles as well. Now, the other three states that are often grouped in a similar category are Minnesota, the Commonwealth of Virginia, and New Hampshire, as they each voted for Joe Biden by likely margins in 2020, yet in this case, we have seen the polls in each state so far this cycle suggest that the races could be much closer than expected, especially while Biden remained in the race. Right now, Harris leads by 5.7% in New Hampshire based on the last three polls. Those have ranged from Harris plus 4 all the way up to Harris plus 8. Then in Virginia, she leads by 5.3%, a very similar margin, with the three polls here ranging from Harris plus 3 to Harris plus 8. Again, very similar. And finally, in Minnesota, we see Harris up 5.4%, with the polls here ranging from Harris plus 5 to Harris plus 6. So remarkably similar leads for the vice president across all three states. Now, back in the 2016 election, when Trump defeated Hillary Clinton, he came within half a point of flipping New Hampshire, 5 points short in Virginia, and then within just 1.5 points in Minnesota. On that note, I could see each of them dip back below 3 points this cycle on a best case map for Trump, and therefore go in the tilt blue column. That leaves us with the 7 key battlegrounds that we have talked about all cycle long. Now, most forecasters out there have all 7 rated as toss-ups right now, with neither Trump or Harris holding a discernible advantage at this point in time. They were each decided by less than 3 percentage points in the 2020 election, and with the exception of Nevada, which voted Democrat twice, and North Carolina, which voted for Trump in both elections, the other 5 states all swung from Trump in 2016 to Biden in 2020. Now, here in 2024, the path to victory for both candidates runs through some combination of victories across these 7 states. For Trump, his most efficient path would be to hold on to North Carolina and then flip both Georgia and Pennsylvania. That would get him to exactly 270 electoral votes. Meanwhile, for Harris, she would hit exactly 270 as well, simply by holding on to the WIMPA states, the Blue Wall states, the Upper Rust Belt core trio, whatever you want to call them, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, plus Nebraska's 2nd congressional district, which Biden carried by almost 7 points 4 years ago. Saying all of that, though, given that this is a best-case scenario map for Donald Trump, and neither candidate truly has a better than 55 to maybe 60% chance of winning in any one of these 7 states, it's only reasonable to place all 7 in the Trump column, just as it will be in the Harris version of this video. That may seem like a cop-out or anticlimactic to some extent, but it's moments like these where we need to take a second and appreciate what is happening here. It may not feel like it because every election over the last few decades has been labeled, the most important race of our lifetimes, but it's truly extraordinary to be less than 2 months out from an election day and not have a clear favorite in the presidential race, much less have no strong clue as to how 7 states on the battleground map will vote. I mean, there is a realistic scenario in which either candidate can win 300 electoral votes by sweeping all 7. That's pretty crazy. Obviously, the most likely scenario is that they do split in some way, shape, or form, but here, in a best-case scenario for the former president, Trump, he should win each of these states and thereby secure an electoral college win with 312 electoral votes. It's hard to imagine him expanding the margin beyond the tilt range in any of these states, that is, more than 3 percentage points, though I could see it in North Carolina, which he did in fact win by 3.7% in 2016. The other 6 are probably a little bit too entrenched at this point to be decided by more than 3 points in either direction. Again, I'm making this video as a realistic best case scenario, not just a partisan wish cast on Trump's behalf. And with that, I think that is where I will leave you today. As always, feel free to let me know what you think of this map in the comments I've made in this video, with your own comment in the section below. Shout out to my channel members on screen here. Thank you so much for your support. If you would like to become a member, go ahead and click the join button below this video to receive exclusive perks. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. You can check out more content from my channel here, and as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. EP out.